Hello there YouTube, it's your boy B3, back with another kicking graphic novel review. Today we are looking at Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Yes, the crossover with Godzilla and Kong has now crossed over with the Justice League. And it was a really fun book. It didn't take itself too seriously. It was just like, the kaiju are in the DC universe. Let's see what happens, huh? Fun book. Let me read you the back of it. Yeah, let's read the back of that book, big boy. Anyway, how do you destroy the Justice League? The question has been plaguing Lex Luthor and his Legion of Doom since the two iconic teams first came to blows. When confronted with the colossal titans of the MONSTERVERSE, Lex believes he has found the answer to their eternal question. It's Superman versus Godzilla. Wonder Woman versus Behemoth. Green Lantern versus Scylla. Batman versus Camazotz. And Supergirl versus Kong in this all-out battle for the fate of the DC Universe. Can Superman stand up to the power of Godzilla? Can Lex Luthor harness the primal forces of Skull Island? It's time to find out the answers to these questions and more. Acclaimed writer Brian Bucoletto from Injustice and best-selling artist Christian Duce from Batman Fortnite Zero Point spin the cataclysmic crossover event of the year as the DC Universe clashes with Legendary's MONSTERVERSE. Collects Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong 1 through 7. Now, for this book I have some single issues and some issues of other books that got like covers that promoted this. But for reading purposes, I have the trade. It's all MonsterVerse, DC, Legendary Comics. It's a really nice, really colorful book with good art and fun writing. I'm going to walk you through the story now. And this does not take place in the main DC universe, but I also have a hunch that these are not the monsters from the main MonsterVerse. And I will lay all that out soon. My evidence that it is not in the main DC universe is that it didn't affect the DC universe at large, and it definitely would have. And characters die. But also, right at the beginning, Superman is going to propose to Lois Lane. They've been married in the comics for a while. They were unmarried for a bit, but they've been remarried for years. So it's fine. It's Gucci Gang, it's YOLO. Anyway, at Clark's proposal, right before they go on their first vacation ever, Godzilla shows up. And then it jumps back to 12 hours ago. Yeah, it's one of those. But it's nice to see Barry, Flash, and Hal, Green Lantern, have some good banter. I've always thought they had good banter. But we see Supergirl. She's going to join the League and kind of pick up the slack for Superman. We also see Titano, the big mechanical ape villain that Superman fights. That was a good choice for this book. You see Titano and you're like, oh, this is a book that doesn't take itself too seriously. This is a book that's going to be fun, but also good choice for a kaiju DC crossover book, Anyway, we see the Legion of Doom constantly bickering amongst themselves. They really only get anything done if Luthor steps in. But Luthor was able to find the Fortress of Solitude and find their way into it. And he wants to steal the Phantom Zone projector. But Toyman grabs the Dreamstone, which sets off an alarm, which brings the League down on them. The Dreamstone, of course, a reality-manipulating crystal that gives you your deepest desires. Anyhow, they are able to really stop a lot of Luthor's theft, but there is a malfunction, and Luthor and the Legion of Doom get sent into the MonsterVerse. The Phantom Zone projector, instead of sending things to the Phantom Zone, is now sending them to the MonsterVerse. They're on Skull Island, attacked by a skull crawler, and Kong saves their ass, and Grodd is like, oh, fuck yeah, that's a big-ass ape. Gorilla Grodd is down with Kong. Sees him as a god, but is also going to kind of hypocritically try to use God for his own purposes, like an evangelical. Anyway, Superman goes off to fight this huge, menacing looking Godzilla. Godzilla's looking buff as hell. And there have been a lot of allegations, I want to say, of tracing for this book, and for really MonsterVerse books in general. But if all these different artists are tracing, doesn't that kind of make it Legendary's fault? They're the common denominator. I feel like if tracing is going on, which it seems like it might be in some points, I think Legendary makes comic artists trace kaiju so that they're always on model, but that really diminishes the art. It's kind of a little whack. Anyway, the kaiju are kicking ass. Like, so much ass. Because of course they are. They're the friggin' kaiju, and they leave Green Arrow on Skull Island in order to kind of help out. We also see Mercy Graves in this book. I've always been a big Mercy fan ever since Superman the Animated Series, which I believe was her origin. That's like where she first appeared, was Superman the Animated Series. And she's looking a lot like the BVS Mercy, but I also think that the current comic Mercy kind of looks like this also. I'm a little behind on Superman, but the Mercy that works with Superman at Supercorp or whatever also looks just like this. I think she's pretty on model for Modern Mercy. Modern Mercy, that's a good book title. Batman and his team are able to take down Camazotz, the big old bat. Jason almost fucks it up. This is a very, very angry Jason. This is a Jason with a lot less character development than our normal Jason. Oopsie. But Shazam shows up to help Superman fight Godzilla, amongst some other heroes. And he shouts Shazam, uses his lightning bolt to hit Godzilla, but it also turns him back into Billy. And he's kind of not taking it super seriously, so he doesn't immediately turn back into Shazam. So Superman has to catch him and shield him from Godzilla's blast, which, quote-unquote, kills Superman. It doesn't really kill Superman, but it hurts him bad, and his cells have been kind of, I guess, overrun by this radiation, and it's making them hard for them to absorb and metabolize more sunlight. They don't fully explain why Godzilla's blast fucked him so hard, but I mean, oh my god, Godzilla fans were so happy when this happened. I remember they were like, that's Superman, that's the most powerful character in fiction, arguably. And Godzilla just fucking blasted his ass. Yikes. But we see Flash try to help his rogues in Central City. Another reason I know, by the way, that this is not main continuity. Pied Piper is still a criminal. Pied Piper has not found redemption, meaning this is an alternate continuity. There's so much evidence for it. No one was ever meant to think this was main continuity, but so many of the characters are on model for the comics that were coming out at the time that a lot of people kind of thought it was. That's why I'm saying it's not. It's definitely not. Don't have to worry about it. Anyhow. Supergirl says she stops hearing Superman's heartbeat, so she goes to save him from Godzilla, and Atom Smasher shows up. He's a growing hero. Really cool. Did not expect to see Atom Smasher in this book, so when he popped up, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I'm a big Justice Society fan. He was in the Black Adam movie. A lot of you might be familiar with him from that, if you aren't big Justice Society readers, but I love the Justice Society, so Atom Smasher showing up was a huge thing for me. Also, Billy Batson is now feeling guilty because he feels like he's gotten Superman killed, which is not grand. Behemoth attacks the Amazons, and they use the Lasso of Truth on it, and the Lasso of Truth kind of works a little differently here. Another piece of evidence that this is not main continuity. Yeah. Anyway, Supergirl has beef with Kong. She has super beef with all these because she thinks Superman might be dead. And oh my god, let me tell you, when Billy Batson tells other heroes that Superman is dead, Batman freaks. I love this reaction they wrote for Batman freaking out about Superman's death, refusing to accept it, saying, "No, he is not dead. How dare you say that to me?" I loved it. It was such an interesting reaction from Bruce. Something you don't usually see him react this way for anybody, especially even Superman. He usually gets more secluded when something happens to Superman, but this is very interesting. He's doing everything he can to save Superman. Anyhow, Lex Luthor finds the signal, the eye signal, and Lex Luthor ends up being the one to build mecha-godzilla, and he pilots it. So this isn't a full Berserk mecha-godzilla, it's a Lex Luthor one. So to be completely honest, I think they should have made this mecha-godzilla look different. It just looks like the normal MonsterVerse mecha-godzilla, which is fine. I think they should have just gave him some purple and green. That's it. That's all I'm asking. Put some of those trademark Lex Luthor colors on him. You're going to have Lex Luthor pilot mecha-godzilla, but they're not going to put any of Luthor in the mecha-godzilla. They're not going to give him that double L symbol on mecha-godzilla's chest or something. Come on! I'm sure they weren't allowed to do that. That's a very comic book thing to do, and the fact that they didn't do it makes me think that Legendary, and probably Toho, actually, it's almost probably certainly Toho, were not cool with that. I'd wager they wouldn't be. At least one of them wouldn't be. Legendary seems a bit more chill, but... Anyway, they put Superman in this solar pod, and he's just not absorbing solar energy. And he's getting worse and worse. The League of Assassins, turns out, is on Skull Island now. Because the entirety of Skull Island, I didn't mention this, has been transported to the DC universe. The entire Skull Island. Yikes. But the League of Assassins, which they might call the League of Shadows in here, but the League of Assassins steals like a Skullcrawler skull. Because, you know, they're eco-terrorists. And it actually makes sense that they would really fuck with these kaiju, because the kaiju are willing to destroy humanity to fix nature. Now, did the League know that when they stole this skull? I have no clue. I really don't. But now I want to tell you why I think this is from a different MonsterVerse. First up, in the regular MonsterVerse, they never mentioned Skull Island completely disappearing and coming back. So, there's that. But also, this Skull Island is abandoned. There's a lot of Monarch facilities on this Skull Island, but there's no humans manning any of them. Why is that? Skull Island, at this point in the MonsterVerse, huge presence. And we've seen Monarch bases on it and stuff like in the Monarch show and in Godzilla and Kong and stuff. And this would be before the storm kind of destroyed it. So where are the people? My thought is, they're dead. This is a MonsterVerse where I think there probably aren't really many humans left. Yeah. I don't think there are any humans left. I really don't. Pretty interesting. Anyhow, let's move on. So, we have Tiamat, whose figure I still need from Playmates, attacking Atlantis. Doesn't go super well. Godzilla kind of shows up to help, but also there's a big Ray Harryhausen reference in this, where Aquaman releases the Kraken. He releases the friggin' Kraken, you guys. So it's the Kraken Godzilla Tiamat three-way battle. It's awesome. It's so cool. And Godzilla, since he's so powerful and no one in the DC universe can handle him, which I just love as a lifelong Godzilla fan. Fuck yeah. They use the nth metal chains that were holding the Kraken in place to now chain Godzilla to the seafloor. They have successfully stopped Godzilla. But eventually they have to get Kong out of the mind control of Gorilla Grodd. Because Gorilla Grodd can control his mind pretty easily. He's, not as intelligent as a human. He's pretty intelligent. Close, but not quite there. Then we see Ra's al Ghul drop the skull into the Lazarus Pit, the Skullcrawler skull, and it's like, the Lazarus Pit can reconstitute that much physical material? To that I was not aware, but once again, this is Elseworld, so it doesn't matter. They can do whatever they want. Green Lantern rings also appear to have different rules in this, to be completely honest. Green Lantern rings also appear to work different, which I'll get to soon. But Superman disappears from his pod while Lois is asleep. But later we find out that Batman and Cyborg threw him into the sun, that only a super direct interaction with the sun could save him. But they didn't wake Lois and tell her or anything. She's his fiancée. I mean, holy shit. How dare you? How effing dare you not wake her and stuff? But we see a big bat mech, which kind of looks a little Gypsy Danger-ish, to be completely honest. And I think that is intentional. That this is a very Gypsy Danger looking Batman mecha. Because Legendary also made Pacific Rim. But it's pretty cool. I'd love a figure of it. So, Batman in the Batmech is fighting Luthor in his mecha-godzilla. And Luthor has the Titans behind him, because the mecha-godzilla has the alpha signal. So he's able to control the Titans, other than the ones that want to be alpha. The Green Lanterns, in what I'm sure is a Power Rangers Super Sentai Voltron-esque reference, create their own Green Lantern Robo, which is what it's called, awesome name, where each one is in a different part of it. Yeah, you've got like one in the head, one in one leg, one in the other leg, one in one arm, one in the other arm. Pretty dope stuff. Pretty ace. And then Grodd shows up with Kong, who will eventually be freed from his mind control, and Grodd kills Guy Gardner Green Lantern. Murders him. And his ring flies off to find another host. And that host is Kong. Green Lantern Kong, baby. Also, Beast Boy, who can turn into any animal he's seen, turns into Kong. So we got a big green Beast Boy Kong. See, this is what I'm talking about here. They let Beast Boy be a big green Kong, but they won't let Lex Luthor paint Mecha-Godzilla? Obviously, I'm alleging that. I have no proof that Legendary and or Toho didn't let them change Mecha-Godzilla's colors or design or anything. But that's almost certainly the case. For Kong, I think it would be easier. Kong is a property from over here, and Universal claims to own Kong, and I think Legendary has more freedom with Kong than they do Godzilla. So this Beast Boy Kong is much easier. Also, Skullcrawlers are sort of an original monster. They're based off an old Kong pit crawler. But the Lazarus Pit creates this giant, bony Skullcrawler, way bigger than the others. And then it shows up with a League of Assassins and an army of Skullcrawlers. And then Superman, in his new supercharged state, frees Godzilla to come help, because he kind of realizes everything that's going on. Godzilla and the Titans keep the balance, right? When they were transported to another world, they felt off balance. They were instantaneously in a new world, a new setting. They had no idea where they are, and everything was completely different. This world doesn't have Titans to keep a balance of nature. So, the balance of nature was really off. And then they sensed things like metahumans and aliens and stuff, and they were like, whoa, what the hell is this? I blinked and now the world is so off balance. Of course, we know metahumans are kind of a naturally occurring thing now in DC. Depends on if they want to keep doing super Superman theory stuff like in Doomsday Clock, but I don't think they do. Metahumans, there's like the meta gene, and it can mutate you, and metas are kind of a natural thing now. But, the monsters are playing by the rules of their world. So in their mind, the metas and Atlantis and all this stuff, Themyscira, it's all throwing off the natural balance. Even though Themyscira and Atlantis are like famously in balance with nature. Very much so. So, but not from the point of view of the Titans, because they're judging it based on how their world should be, not on how this world should be. Right? So, a lot of fighting going on. A lot of stuff. Godzilla, of course, fights against Luthor and his Titan army because Godzilla wants to be the alpha. Kong also fights from it because he just kind of wants to be unchained. Kong doesn't super want to be the alpha of alphas. He kept Skull Island in place, but he doesn't want to be like subservient either. But yeah, I gotta say, Green Lantern Kong, I think, could have looked a little cooler. The ring, we know that Green Lantern rings are able to change sizes and stuff. And it's nice to know Kong is intelligent enough for a Green Lantern ring, since they should only attach to sentient life. So, it changes size, it attaches to Kong, it gives him a Green Lantern symbol on his chest, and then like a green energy shield. It doesn't do the whole spiel like Kong of Space Sector, blah blah blah. But I mean, like they could have given Kong like a real Green Lantern outfit or something would have been cool. I mean, they always have been known to generate spontaneously, without permission, and then whatnot. But Kong makes his construct, which is his Godzilla Spine axe. Now, this is a Kong that's still on Skull Island, and allegedly hasn't been to the Hollow Earth yet. So, how does he know this axe exists? Maybe things happened in a very different order in this world. Maybe he has been to the Hollow Earth and came back up through the portal in Skull Island. Maybe he left it in the Hollow Earth. Maybe it was destroyed. Clearly, as I said, the events of GVK not only haven't happened yet for this MonsterVerse, but I don't think will happen. I don't think they will, because one of the main components needed to create Mecha-King Ghidorah was removed from that dimension. Not Mecha-King Ghidorah. Mecha-Godzilla was removed from that dimension and stuff. Also, Kaiju are dying. And, of course, there's my no humans left in this MonsterVerse dimension theory. Well, maybe a minuscule amount of humans, but not like major populations. I think they've been destroyed. Also, an amazing visual occurs. We see a boom tube open up, and Superman and Godzilla come charging through a boom tube. I mean, I flipped to this page and I was like, fuck yes, that's so cool. I've been waiting my whole life to see an image like that. I really loved it. Godzilla wrecks this new Lazarus Skullcrawler, as I'm going to call it. They take the Dreamstone. They found it with Toyman's corpse. Because Toyman got crushed by Godzilla after he brought them all to this DC universe. Anyway, Superman uses it to send the kaiju back home and everything. And then he gets to have a nice picnic with Lois. And everything's fine, except for Guy Gardner is still dead. They kind of forget about him real quick. But when you have my girl Jessica Cruz, do you really need anyone else? But there are a lot of great variant covers, including a really cool Jim Lee one. You know, there's a really, really cool one by Scott Williams that I do have, as well as many, many others. I have a lot of the variant covers and stuff as single issues. So yeah, it's a really cool variant cover gallery. I think you'll definitely want to check it out. Plus, there's like a really nice Jacques cover that I loved. Oh, yeah. And then a Michael Cho cover that was really nice. I loved the Jacques cover, man. I'd have that as a poster. It was really, really cool. But there were a ton of covers for this book. Just a ton. An unfathomable amount. But there's no sketches or scripts or anything in the back. Probably just because there were a lot of covers and they felt it was enough. So, what are my final thoughts on Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong from DC Comics, Legendary Comics, and the MONSTERVERSE? Really fun book. At the time of recording this, I'm recording this way ahead of when it's being uploaded because I'm just preparing a bunch of videos, because when I move and stuff, I'm not going to be able to make as much for a while. So I'm kind of just making a whole backlog of videos I can upload Nikado Avocado style. But I heard there's going to be a sequel to this. That seems to have been announced. And I'm excited. I actually think for the sequel, it might be cool to take the superheroes to the MONSTERVERSE instead. Kind of flip the script, you know? Kind of like how in the Hellraiser sequel, they go to, you know, where the Cenobites are from instead of the Cenobites really coming to them. But we'll just have to see, and we'll see if my humans are dead theory is true. But yeah, it'd be nice to see what kind of state that MONSTERVERSE is in. Pretty interesting. But who knows what'll happen? You know, maybe we'll see Scar King and Shimo. Things like that. I really don't know what we'll see. But whatever it is, it should be really fun. If it's anything like this book, it'll just be a fun ride. And you only need, like, general knowledge of the MONSTERVERSE and DC Universe to understand this. No deep lore or anything. It's just a fun book. This is how I feel like crossovers, like, should be, you know? Just pure fun. Like, the Godzilla Power Rangers crossover is really fun, too. I need to review that. It's been on my list forever. Still haven't done it. But that is it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, rate, comment, and subscribe. I do sell comics and trading cards and action figures and stuff in my physical and online stores. Please check those out. Thank you all once again. I'll see you all next time. Bye for now. Yeah.